Welcome back to Cox Connections, a program that provides up-to-date information on organizations that are making a difference for you, our customers. A mentorship program for young men is up and running at Chesapeake's Indian River Middle School. The Young Dreamers, a male initiative, challenges these young men to become keepers of the dream. Here to talk with us about the program is Dr. Toney L. McNair, Jr. from the Indian River Middle School and one of the Young Dreamers' parents, Mr. Kendall Savelles. Thank you for joining the show.
Thank you, Gary.
What an outstanding program.
Oh, yes.
First, let me just compliment you on that. But Dr. McNair, let me start with you.
Okay.
What exactly is a Young Dreamer and what's the significance of the name?
A Young Dreamer, first let me say thank you for having us. This is a wonderful opportunity to expose the young men to different things. A young dreamer is a young man at Indian River Middle School who desires to thrive for great things. We put a interest out there to find out whether or not young men want to be a part of our group, and when they come, we just give them an opportunity to talk about themselves, get to know themselves more, and most importantly, help them make the transition through
So how did the program come about?
It came about through a conversation that I had with one of our former assistant principals. We saw the need to help boys make the transition into middle school.
And so this is an important program because it looks at these young men at a time when they could make other decisions, and you're, I guess, helping them to make the right decisions.
Yes, exactly. We try to get them from 6th grade, and we follow them all the way through 8th grade.
Now, this is boys transitioning to men. Why is it so important for you to focus on young men?
It's difficult for boys during these times with so many distractions. Even our video games are violent. We try to give the boys an alternative to what success is all about. And
you have, we talked earlier about these 5 power words of a dreamer. Talk a little bit about that.
Yes, citizenship, accountability, decision-making, responsibility, and empowerment. They're very important. We want our young men to be good citizens, to grow up to be good citizens. We want them to be held accountable for their behavior. We want them to be able to make good decisions, and so we present various scenarios and just test them to see if they're on point. We want them also to be responsible, and with the activities that we provide, we try to use those to empower them to be great young men.
And you have this 8-point system for success. Talk a little bit about that.
Our 8-point system for success is just an opportunity for us to instill self-esteem, to provide some leadership skill building activities, to help them think about choosing a career, to help them move in the right direction.
Yeah, a lot of times at this age, you don't think at one day you're going to be in your 30s or 40s. They think that's ancient.
You're just thinking about right now and what's the latest fad, the KDs that I can get my parents to purchase, and by the way, they pay a lot of money for those.
Now, we have some of the Young Dreamers in the studio with us today. What are some of the other activities that they're involved in the program?
Right now, one of the most exciting activities that they're involved in is developing a portfolio. The boys have to take pictures between now and the end of school. They have to present their portfolio, talk about themselves, talk about their families, talk about the things that they're involved in, and present this at the end of the year. We're going to look at those and select the top 3 and give them some type of award.
Mr. Savelles, Kendall,
Yes.
let me turn to you. You have a son who's in the program.
That's correct.
And again, it sounds like it's a great program. But let me ask you, why did you decide to allow your son to be a part of the program?
I decided to let my son be a part of the program because Young Dreamers is similar to somewhat as a modern-day rites of passage for young men. And as Dr. McNair was saying earlier, how it is so difficult for young men these days with all of this, peer pressures and everything else. It prepares them instead of the everyday, like he was talking about with the kids just wanting KDs and dressing fashionably, instead of them not taking away from their youth, but preparing them for a better life as opposed to a better childhood.
So have you seen a difference in your son because of the program?
Yes, I've seen a tremendous change in my son. He is finally narrowed down what he wants to do with his life. And, he told me that he wants to be a designer. He wants to be a designer and design shirts, and he wants to go ahead. So I told him that, we will go ahead and, as opposed to being educated now, we could start making those transitions now for later, for right now, as opposed to later on in life. So we're going to start venturing out and doing that.
And that's so neat, because you have him thinking, dreaming about
Yes.
this career, but being able to connect that to why I need to study, why I need to listen to my teachers, why I need to do my homework, and
Yes.
connecting the dots. I
Yes,
mean, I always
it's
say,
paramount.
young people really, everybody wants to have this great career, they want to have this great life, but they have no idea how to connect the dots between where they are and that place. So
Yes.
it's a great thing,
Yes.
and I applaud you for that. Would you recommend it for other parents?
I would recommend
other
it for
students at Indian
any
River?
young man who has a dream or is aspiring to be great. Young Dreamers allows you to develop your own voice, as opposed to so many young men, how young men, people tend to define them. But with Young Dreamers, through the exposure, education, and leadership, tests that we put the guys through, they do a fairly good job, and it's a tremendous.
Well, listen, we're out of time, unfortunately, but I just want to thank you, Dr. McNair, for all the great work that you're doing for these young men. Clearly, it is going to pay off. This is a huge investment that you're making, and it's going to have a tremendous return. And thank you, Mr. Svels, for what you're doing to get your son involved. I would encourage anybody listening, get involved at Indian River. If your students are not at Indian River, start up a program like that in your school, because it does work. So thank you again for being on the show.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you for joining me on this episode of Cox Connections. As always, I want to personally thank you for choosing Cox Communications for your entertainment, information, and communication needs. We know you could have chosen another provider, but because you chose us, we pledge to be a friend you can trust. We promise to provide you with innovative products backed up by a talented local team of professionals that will help you stretch your dollar. And we promise to continue to make a difference here in the Hampton Roads community. From all of your friends and neighbors here at Cox, we thank you again for joining us on this edition of Cox Connections.
We are the Young Dreamers, deliberately